6:30 on the. We're gonna call the meeting to order of Public Works. It is Wednesday, June 14th at 5:30 PM. Present here is Donnie Kern, Brandon Crone, and Caleb Garn, Bob Gunther, and Amy. Online, I think we got Chuck and a couple of one others. Okay. We stand for the pledge, allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have public work minutes. To review the minutes of May 10th, Public Works.
I move to adopt minutes from May 10th.
Ready for a second. Motion made and seconded to adopt the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, all opposed, nay. Motion carried. Public comment. There's nobody in the hall for public comment here today. Is there anybody online that wishes to give public comment? Nobody's raising their hands. Okay. Public comment is closed. General updates on active projects. Who wants to take this one?
I can take it.
Okay,
Just getting all my documents opened here and I'm gonna turn on my video so you can see my lovely face. Okay. So let's see, Growing Wings is later on in the agenda, so I'll skip over that. The curb and sidewalk, it looks like we've talked to Tri-City, we're passing contracts back and forth and you know, they will they'll begin sometime towards the end of July to replace the curb and the sidewalk. So the comprehensive plan, there's
will they be done by the time the bridge reopens? Starting in?
That's where we're gonna have them start. So our conversation is gonna be getting through that intersection and getting the bridge portion from the bridge to Main Street done.
So just
That's
this,
the priority.
just this portion?
And then they can pick up and do the side streets. So we don't run into that.
Main
So-
Street, it goes up farther on Main Street though, doesn't it?
Just the curb work does.
Curb
That's not gonna impede traffic.
Yeah.
We're not gonna shut the road down. But we wanna make sure that mill and overlay is done prior to the bridge being open. So we'll work with their schedule on that to make sure that they understand that that's the priority.
But curb and will still be ongoing after the bridge opens.
Yeah. Because we have the right turn lane too.
Okay,
So there's a number of items. My planner is going to speak at the June 29th Plan Commission meeting. So as they move into start reviewing the required sections of the comp plan, including the ag, nature and cultural resources, and the transportation sections. That's going to be discussed at the next Plan Commission meeting. And just to note, they moved it up a week because of the holidays and it's going. So the July meeting is going to be June 29th. We had a pre-construction meeting for the Main Street Bridge and utility project. And at that meeting, they, indicated that they're gonna start the week of June 26th. We still haven't seen shops for the hangers of the pipe on the bridge. And so we've been rattling their cages about that. And, we express the importance at the pre-con about, needing to get that bridge open before school starts.
will there be weekly updates on that, on the bridge construction after it starts, kind of like what we're getting right now with this from the state?
we're happy to do that. If you'd like that, we'll provide that, certainly.
I think it's important because everybody is really anticipating how speedy this bridge will open and kind of if things are on target, what gets done and, you know, it's been well received, I guess, for the state stuff that we've been getting out there at least.
So do we want to write that in the guise of the website? And so it's posted at the website at the end of every week, or, you know, do you want it emailed to the village? You know, I guess, how do you want that communicated, Donnie?
I think both ways would be perfect. You can put it on a website and email it to the, you know, the board and Public Works.
Okay,
You can sign up for notifications online.
Yeah, I've gotten at least a dozen folks that have called me over the past 2 weeks asking when it's gonna start and when it's gonna be done. There's a lot of fervor over it not being done before school. And frankly, a lot of rumors out there about people keep saying October, December, all kinds of stuff.
People talk.
well,
Chuck, with all that stuff on the bridge, will any services be affected? Because I know I've been talking to some folks up in Whispering Pines and they've had their internet shut off, they've had their power shut off. So with the bridge being shut down, are any services going to be affected? And if so, how are we going to be communicating that?
so there shouldn't be any services impacted. You know, it is construction, right? But you know, when you know you're paying a hefty price to bypass the sewer and the water. I mean, it's to the tune of like $190,000 to set up a temporary bypass to get the sewer around there. The water, there's a second connection. You know, I don't anticipate any issues unless, you know, something goes wrong with that sewer bypass. And even then there's,
Yeah, because some of the residents were having issues just being communicated to about the planned outages, so I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be adding to any of that. That was my other question.
we'll do our darndest. I know there were some people out of water for portions of yesterday. And then all of a sudden there was the temporary water main on Churchill had an issue about 7 o'clock last night. And so that, you know, that riled up some people but I think within 45 minutes, they were able to remobilize, get back out there and replace the part that, you know, blew off.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that too, getting that fixed so quickly. So we went and fixed that, obviously, since the station, the contractor.
Thanks, you guys there.
Will they be able to finish by the end of August? If they start as late as June 26th? I mean, originally we were talking
That's
June.
their completion date. It's written into the contract that they need to be completed by that date, the 31st
Of August.
of August. Okay.
What is the penalty?
I was gonna say, is there
Substantial.
damages on
Substantial.
that?
Liquidated damages.
Yeah, because their current schedule doesn't show that. They show the bridge being open but not completed per the contract. So, you know, that's going to be ongoing discussions, but you know, it just seems like it's a common theme now throughout the industry where there's so much work and these contractors keep bidding so much stuff and then having, you know, problems meeting deadlines and things. But we do have a deadline of, like Bob said, of the 31st, and you know,
We'll just keep on it. That's all we can do.
There is.
Look at it in July and see where it's at in July after they've started and in August, if they're not getting far along on their schedule and stuff is, we'll be talking about it then.
Contractually cannot force a contractor to start on a certain particular day, but we can contractually make them stop and be done on a particular day.
So
It's up to them to decide the window that they need to complete something.
So Chuck is communicating with the contractors, or you're communicating with the contractors, or who's
Bob
the
Ullman,
Yeah,
essentially, I'm gonna say is our
who's the
person
point
that
man, the program manager?
coordinates.
Okay, perfect.
He's behind the scene.
and so just to keep things, you know, the communication's clear, and so there aren't mixed messages and some of those things, both your Bob and I am, dealing with the contractor primarily through the project manager, Bob Omen. With MSA. And, Bob's been doing this for 20 years, and prior to that, he worked for Park Construction, so he knows the drill.
So if we end up having questions, we should call Bob or direct those to you guys, or can we talk to Bob directly, or
Talk to me.
You-
I'll have,
talk to our Bob? We'll get in touch with your Bob.
That's the best way to keep your Bob in the loop.
I'm in the loop. I'll have the answers for you.
Well, I mean, from the standpoint of what maybe concerns you have from that end, you'll keep tabs on the project. I know that, Bob, but just, so that, what the village board's thinking, so.
Okay.
Kind of a common theme that, we've been on the contractor with the wastewater treatment plants, there's been a lot of nice weather, not a lot of activity. And, their schedule, they had some issues, with some MCC equipment. But we're starting to get some, Amber Alerts here about them completing on, for their requirements, and we're coordinating a on-site meeting next week. I don't know if that time has been firmed up yet with my, my wastewater guy or Jim, so.
Can you share that time with me of when, if you're gonna have a meeting on site next week sometime?
Sure will.
So I'd like to come out and talk to him because, this one is important. I know I stress this every meeting, but we need to get this up and going so we can get the trial on that new bacteria going. And I'm antsy to get this just up and running in general because it will help stave off some of those transportation costs. So please forward me that meeting.
Certainly will.
I will move my schedule around at work to
Okay.
make it down there.
So time that's better in the day for you.
Round lunch, noon is best, around noon, I can make one work, something like that.
Anticipating next Wednesday. I just don't know time. And I don't know if that works for everybody.
Wednesdays are usually pretty good for me. So I'll double check my schedule
That's
first.
what I said.
Okay. That was all I had for questions, so that,
So,
Under, are we on, we're still under the project updates, Winesap subdivision? They weren't able to obtain an easement from the school for utilities?
that's correct.
Is that
So
gonna
that-
pose,
Oh, go ahead, finish your thought, Danny.
that going to pose a problem down the road because of the ability to access those utilities?
Not the utilities that are impacted. It's just,
But it's an easement for drawing utilities across, right?
wasn't it for the water
sort of
It's-
storm. What are we talking about?
storm drain?
You're talking about the electrical stuff, and so it's their problem. They have, their contractor is redesigning it. To figure that out, and then we'll have to review and approve it. So that's kind of the process there.
So how long before that starts to, where we're ready to get into phase 3 of Winesap? So we need this to move into phase 3. How long before this stands in the way of us building in phase 3? How soon do we need to be on this? We need a plan like post
Their
haste.
design right now, the school previously was an agreement to have them do the work. Superintendents have changed. Present superintendents liking what is being proposed. There was said that there was a temporary trespass agreement signed with the school. There wasn't. And so there's nothing that forces the school to do anything other than agree to the grading. So they want to knock down a hill. The school doesn't want that because they want to be protected from the sound and pollution from the highway.
Can they, is there some kind of like in between ground where they build a fence, or put up
That's
some trees,
what-
or
Was being explored now, some alternatives to present to the school.
are they planning on putting some trees up? I saw they're putting some trees up along the freeway, but are they gonna beef those up without, or any sound wall or anything like that there?
No sign wall.
Just to berm in the trees, so I recall.
Is there any, do you think there's any way that, so negotiations are completely broken down, they absolutely have to do another plan, there's no way that that can be? Okay. Alright. Well,
And a lot of times that sound wall just kind of pushes the sound up and over the first row of houses onto the next one. It's kind of my understanding, so.
And they're ugly.
yeah, you come from the land of sound walls.
Yeah. They just get graffiti all over them. Pain in the butt.
So in regards to Churchill, basically they've got water main, whatever, 500 north of Raymond. And they've got the sewer north of Raymond. They continue to work on that. And that's gonna be slow going here in the next week because they're into the real deep stuff. But they have one crew will continue to work on the sewer next week, and then the other crew is doing stormwater work right now, and then we'll switch over and do services and leave, what is it?
Services
Tomorrow.
Services to start of the day.
Surfaces, there's
Services.
service.
Utilities. Services.
So a lot of people have asked me, and I know I probably could look at the plan, but we're all here. Is there's still gonna be lights downtown, right? That's not gonna be a roundabout, is it? It's gonna be
Intersection,
intersection.
stop and go lights.
Okay,
No roundabout.
okay. People are they're very scared of the roundabouts. They don't want them here. Okay,
I guess that's the highlights. I don't know, are there any other questions?
Thanks, Chuck.
A lot of the ponds are down right now, like some of them are almost empty because of lack of water. Is it more advantageous for you guys, if you were to look at some of those now with no water in them to determine whether or not or is it something that we just deal with down the road?
as far as dredging and stuff and the surveys,
Yeah, needed to, I mean, some of them are dry, and
they
that's
wouldn't
why,
need the boat.
huh?
They wouldn't need the boat.
That's why I'm asking. If it's cheaper now,
We can certainly collect that data now, because we have surveyors in and out of town. So, I could,
well, some of it, I think we approved, right, on the two main spots that we needed to look at over here in Village Park.
I think the Village Park ones were almost.
That was unnecessary because of safety, right?
Correct.
And so that one, I was down for pea soup days and it was almost empty. And that's why I was like, wow, that'd be perfect time for you to get in there
That
and
needs,
do what you need to do.
that needs a redesign.
Yeah, complete.
Yes. That's been determined.
So don't- how much sliders on there. Well, I like the idea of those guys getting out there in their waders instead of being out there in the boot, or out there in the boat. It'd be cheaper.
That's why I just was asking the question, if it's gonna be cheaper, maybe we might entertain it or see if there's a savings there,
I mean,
I did have one more question on here. So the River Hills Pond, the big one in the center there, where they have like the kayak, people have kayaks there and actually kayak that pond. So that's actually low.
Birch Street in that area,
Yeah. It's
Yep.
low.
it's below its design.
Okay, so people have just kind of encroached on where
They're built inside the normal high water line.
yeah, I see people with like deck furniture and stuff on it. Now, don't use that as the line.
Right.
not when it rains.
Yeah, well,
Otherwise their deck furniture will be floating away.
well, and that's what some of their stuff, they put their stuff down by the pond. And that's why it looks like it's higher, but it's like they shouldn't be putting their stuff down there is what I'm reading here.
so the way the pond was designed was supposed to be a wet pond. It's supposed to hold water, right? And I suspect when in the first couple of years, maybe it didn't, it wasn't holding water like it should have been designed. And then the normal water is kind of where the outlet kind of establishes, the level. But if you have some dry, it's going to be a little bit low. And so when we were out there the other week, it was a little over a foot below normal. And I think there was still fences and what have you within the water. So I think people got used to that infiltrating, and it never was intended to infiltrate. And that's either a design flaw or just something that was happening.
I just don't think it collected because the rooftops, from this last development with the impervious, a lot of it just went to the ground versus shutting off roofs and driveways.
Well, now everyone's got their sprinklers running up the hill now and everyone's,
There's a lot more water being collected in that pond.
yeah. And that outflow is over behind the BP a little bit there, right? It connects to that
It's on the
south side.
east corner.
Anything else?
Just to tie a bow on this, I mean, we could have our surveyors collect that data under the city general number, or I could bring something forward to get moving on those two ponds at a future meeting. We could talk about it we could revisit it at your next public works meeting, Donnie, if that's what you want.
Well, like I said, Chuck, if it's something that you bring to us and say, hey, instead of this number, we're able to do it for this number because it's gonna be that much of an off savings. Because we're in this dry season, but if the numbers are still gonna be the same, and if it'll be easier for you guys to start now versus later, then, but I mean, if we approved it, if we haven't approved it, then really there's nothing, to talk about, right?
Yeah, I don't think, we were assuming that we were gonna do it in the spring and when the water was, somewhat down anyways, I don't think it'll impact the numbers at all.
Well, the water's considerably down now.
Yeah. But the survey is a small portion of the overall cost of the redesign and things like that. So
Okay.
I can take a look at it, Donnie, and report back to you next week. But
Just asking, if it's something worthwhile, we could save a few bucks, hey, I'm all in or ears,
I appreciate you bringing it up.
Nothing else?
Nope. Thank you.
Sewer rate study.
In your packet, just basically some discussion on this. There's a few things in that sewer rate study that they won't infuse into that. One is population growth. Some is some external factors such as our sludge eating bacteria. So there's a few elements that aren't in those calculations, and they were, say 10%.
Yeah, that's what I kind of asked when we were going through that.
Yeah, they don't
also.
like to put hypotheticals into
Okay,
any of their calculations. There's like firm numbers, real-time numbers. So they take any type of population growth
or cost savings.
and cost savings out of the equation, and they use past data.
So is there some way that we can look at something other than a 10% increase? Because I'm not a big fan of that. When I read that.
I think when we say we need a 10%, that's not, but it's most $6 per month for everyone. I get when you say
Well,
10%, but I'd rather,
I get it.
I'd rather skin the chicken than.
I think we
skin
could
the
scale
cat.
it down 3 to 5% and take into considerations, we do have some cost savings that are looking very favorable. We did receive some news from the folks at the bacteria that they are piloting in another community where they can hold their sludge for about 30 days and having fantastic results. The thing is, we were just not able to hold this.
Yep.
hold it.
And that
we-
tank is the right size.
And we suspected, yes, and we suspected that was the issue.
So it's gonna be likewise here as it would be over there, if you're having that kind of positive results with the same size tanks and time frame that we can hold it.
Right, so that would be $180,000 savings annually, which would be offset by how much they charge us for the bacteria. So.
And freight to grab, all of that sludge to,
Well, that is
what they're
the,
charging us for that, the extra cost for
Transportation.
phase
costs.
0.5, that's gonna come into play next year.
down the road, yep.
So there's a lot of things operational that inflation's really taken a good chunk out of our operations. So it's just, sometime we have to raise rates. It's just inevitable. Gotta keep up with inflation, we gotta keep up with operations.
Well, don't get me wrong, I don't wanna see a negative number on it. I think cost easing into it is something where, rather than let's hold off, and then bang, nobody likes that.
Cause we don't wanna sit and it's like, we gotta do a 30% increase.
Well, no, and it was
That's what
like,
we
yeah,
wanted to
10,
avoid.
it was $6, it was $6 a month the first year, but then it was, they raised it again. They were planning on raising it again, I think, in 2024.
Those are fixed dollars, so in reality, some people are gonna be impacted quite a bit more, families are gonna be impacted more.
Right,
Single
this is-
single individuals are gonna be impacted less, businesses are gonna be impacted more. So we wanna avoid anything that's not gonna be easily absorbed by families and their household budgets. So that's why, 3 to 5, we see where we're at, we revisit it. And we can take some of those external elements that are not factored into the calculations that our financial people do and test it that way.
How are we seeing up with the new, so we've installed a lot of new meters, are we seeing any? Is the billing coming back any different, or are we seeing any, as far as,
Trends,
yeah, trends or anything like that?
so our usage has pretty much been pretty constant, right?
Yeah,
I should say consistent,
yeah,
And then we got the new, with these new houses and stuff like that, everything, it's average household, blah, 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 everything is kind of staying where it's at. So that we're gonna be looking at, we need to do something, the real question is, do you put it on the meter or you put it on the usage,
And that's good
or both?
to have the fixed asset charge go up as well. So you can do a few combinations that people will go, well, okay, that's minor. And we just want to avoid anything that would, really exasperate a bill.
Right.
We want to avoid that.
What did we do to ensure, there aren't irregularities in usage? We've had instances in the past where like a meter went down reading 0 or read backwards or something like that. Are we watching those uses for irregularities?
Yep.
That's
yeah, that's me.
okay, that was our corrective action for that.
Yeah, yeah, if I see something crazy, I will call the resident and just say, hey,
Something's
there's
leaking or
something, yeah,
or
something
there's,
going on, and
seems like there's not enough.
right, and a lot of times it's, it could be, oh yeah, we had a major leak and, yeah, we were expecting that bill.
Good.
So,
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Perfect, because that's,
Does the software still flag over a certain
yes,
percentage? It does?
yeah.
Okay, automatically flags.
yeah,
oh, we got it set up in there now?
It's like 130%, or is it something?
well, it goes up to like 200%, so that way, if there's a high reading, it'll show up on a report.
What about as far as like low readings?
Yeah.
No,
Goes
okay,
0 to
any
2.
standard deviation, okay. Good. Very good.
Yeah, so if there's ones that are 0, it's like, okay, those are the ones I really look at.
Do we have these?
Typically, it's second meters,
Okay.
like the
Oh,
additional
the-
water meters in the
for
winter,
watering.
yeah.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah, you
So that's gonna be down the road. When do you think we'll be talking more about that?
I think we should make some decision relatively soon.
Month, 2 months?
I would say, yeah, by July, I think. is-
So next month, we should be planning
We
on
should be planning on
revisiting
having discussion.
a recommendation for Seward to the board then, or what?
That'd be my suggestion.
And I really,
We got nothing in here, but we haven't taken into fact the growth, asked the figure into it. So basically, the numbers that we had from before, they have to go back to Ellers, right? And kind of with some thoughts into growth, prospective growth numbers or what?
They won't do calculations based off of hypothetical.
So they made a recommendation to us, it's 10% and 10%, right? So we have to kind of determine what our growth is and what we are, so we don't run into the red, because we're not technically regulated in that, right? But we can't really get to a borrowing thing. Am I,
Yep, we don't want to start taking and having the general fund pay for the debt for the sewer.
Right.
We want that to be able to break even, make a return on an investment. The other thing, their return on investment was a little bit higher than I think that we really need. So we could scale that down a little bit. And, you know, Ellers, they're financial advisors. They don't know what is going on in each and every community. They don't know if, you know, Hudson's
They're
done-
just numbers
Hudson's done
guys.
growing.
Yeah.
And they're not expecting any more housing developments for a long time. So that's why they don't put, you know, factor in
Growth, yeah.
hypotheticals.
My question though too is, we have impacts for all new growth. Some of that goes to sewer. Is that
Sewer hookup fees.
sewer hookup fees, right? So, but there's a cost for that connection, right?
Yep. Sewer
And-
access fee.
And is there somewhere there that we might be able to tap into that so that we have new guys coming in and new growth? That right now, what our number is probably isn't what it should be for what it was 10 years ago.
Right.
With the inflation and everything like that, do we need to revisit that and make some recommendations there
Absolutely.
to, you know, I think we got it on the personal finance,
Facility needs assessment. Yep. So we take our future projects, we look at what we want to do, and then let's say 5,000 more people, we're gonna have to put a water tower in. Well, how much does a water tower cost? And then out of that, you figure in X amount of houses per 10,000, so I don't know. whatever it is. And then that charge should be factoring in, so the current residents aren't paying for the water tower, it's paid out of that impact,
the needs, right?
because you're impacting the demand.
Right, but the impact on the demand has gone up substantially because we got inflation and stuff that was never factored into 10 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So that needs to be maybe looked at for, you know,
Yep.
what kind of impact that's really doing for that new sewage, you know, sewer hookup.
Correct.
Okay,
Wasn't there a new bill that just passed the Wisconsin Senate or passed that local municipalities get a quarter or a penny of the sales tax? Is that, do we see any of that?
Goes to the state, and the state allocates it out in terms of you know, road,
state's doing the allocation.
yeah. road-
So we will get a bump in funding
Our
as a
road
result
aid.
of this?
Well,
Potentially.
Madison, Milwaukee will,
Well, I mean, it's still, they said it goes to municipalities, all municipalities.
based on.
How many sewage hookups do we have right now in the village?
1,300, 1,400.
Like meters, I mean, that'd be 1358,
So there.
but that could be,
That
I mean,
counts
that
water
still
meters.
does the additional water meters. So,
Probably more like 1,300 than, or 1,200.
probably right around 1250, 1200,
I know the new houses get the second meter in right away.
not everyone,
No, I
just
know.
depends on the.
Not
Okay.
mine.
We'll go on if we can here.
Yeah, let's keep. moving.
Ordinance amendments on planting trees and subdivisions. It's in your packet here. I think I asked this to, it got kind of kicked back from the village board back to Public Works. I don't know why Public Works got it, but anyways, probably because the two guys that were arguing about it are in Public Works.
Yeah,
So there you go.
you guys.
So then it
fight
really
out.
kind of comes down to, okay, we gotta either arm wrestle through this thing and figure out if we're gonna do anything, or if we're going to, just leave it as is, but I think, we have another guy on the board here too, on this committee. Have you had a chance to review this, ordinance at all, and if you have any questions about this?
I presume you're talking to me.
Pardon? Yeah, well, I think you've heard us banter back and forth enough already, right?
So
We were bantering before the meeting even started.
I'm somewhere in the middle between the two of you, but what I think we should recommend, in my view, a newly built home not sold should have an ordinance. The purchaser can the day they close on the house, walk out there with a chainsaw and cut down the tree if they want. I'm not an advocate for mandating what folks have to do with their land. But I think requiring it to be a part of a build on a new home makes some sense.
Well, we can do that within the subdivision plans, right, Bob?
Well, this current language covers that, no different than your seeding and sodding, language where you have those trees put on that property because you have the actual teeth in the ordinance where you have retainage
Yes.
to handle that. Otherwise, currently, right now, we've already got an ordinance on the books right now, and it ain't even being enforced because there's no, there's no effect to the cause of not doing it, not following it.
Yeah, I've got a brand new house with 0 trees. That's okay. Sorry. I'll plant some, it's all good.
So if you're in between on this, Caleb, I'm still listening, I guess.
And yeah, that's kind of my recommendation is a spec home should have the requirement. A purchased home, there's no enforcement.
So you're in favor of this ordinance, if I'm hearing you right, of 2 trees, or do you want to drop down to 1 tree? or-
I would go with 1.
If they do more than that, it's just on them, but at least we get 1 tree in each yard if they're stacked up like that. Are you okay with that as a compromise?
I'm gonna vote against it just on principle.
Understood. But are you okay with it as far as a compromise, even though you're gonna vote against it?
I would be fine with that. I would,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm not gonna
asking-
vote, I'm not gonna vote
I'm
for it.
not
but I
asking
would-
for your commitment to vote for it.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
asking for.
It
as a
seems like
compromise.
it does seem like a compromise. I just, like I said, mine's as a principled stance and I just.
So is that in the
I
form of
like
a
that.
motion, Caleb?
Sure. I don't know how. to
So is he
put all
gonna,
that together.
so we're not
It
gonna,
says where it says you're amending the village ordinance to recommend to the board instead of at least 2 trees, 1 tree,
1 tree,
right?
correct.
There's a piece in here about some escrow.
That was in the original one that was already approved.
yeah, and
What's the
we,
escrow about?
That was the next question I was gonna get to on it. Is they wanted some direction from us while we were reviewing that as to what that escrow amount is. So,
and when it falls on the schedule of fees? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
we don't have, it doesn't, right now, that escrow fee doesn't fall on the schedule of fees. They come in, they pay for their permit. They get their permit. I think at that time, when you apply for your permit and get your permit is when that escrow fee should be paid at the time when you come and pick up that
And
permit.
that's what goes on right now.
problem is there's no money amount in the ordinance to establish for the escrow that's set aside, correct?
Correct,
Correct.
yeah.
So now that's where it gets into if we have to hire a subcontractor to plant a tree and sod a deal, do we have any idea what that cost would be?
Well, I think we don't need to necessarily
more
be
than it
sodded,
was.
right? Hydro seeded.
Yeah.
What would we
Well, it
do?
could be grading too. I mean, if we got to grade it to spec, which that's what the ordinance requires.
So here's the problem.
Well, it should be built to as.
If you were to develop this, and this was, you had an escrow from 3 years ago. You're looking at 2 way different numbers,
Okay,
because sodding and seeding and trees 3 years ago were substantially less than they are now.
well, I think if you're putting it
So-
aside, you have to.
so
put in
what's-
your
We
what's-
age.
have a fixed dollar amount in this, it's gonna constantly have to change.
It's gonna end up where the tree did, right? Where it's like, we'll buy a tree for $50.
Now the tree's 100.
What
You
if
know,
it's a percentage of the home build?
Pardon?
What if it's a percentage of the home value?
10%. Cause right now, that's what, we're looking
Well,
at
it'd be
$2,500.
$2,000 would be 10% on a $200,000 home, which is, that's about what they're averaging right now.
Most houses are about 360 for
For a new build?
Yeah.
I thought they said that the average was,
350.
they were
for a
averaging
twin home.
240.
Well, that's what they say they can sell, they say they start in the 240s, but I bought a pretty low end.
Well, I'm just saying, what his argument is if you got a planned spec at 240, I mean, otherwise you're looking at then 5% if you got a $300,000 house, or are you looking at 10% and having them put $3,000 down?
I mean, it depends on the size of the lot too, right?
Right.
If you're doing a third of an acre.
What are they doing in New Richmond? Is this kind of New
Well,
Richmond?
I would almost prefer if we handle this as the same way we handle some of our noxious weeds, we charge. And we charge it against the property.
We charge them bill.
Yep. If they wanna pay it, they pay it. If they don't wanna pay it, goes on their taxes, we collect it.
Or we charge and bill it against that, whatever escrow they have set aside for that division they're working in, right? Say if it's overing, we've already got monies on them, or if it's capstone, we've already got escrow.
We need to amend the ordinance if you want to do it that way, wouldn't you?
Do we have?
So right now, we have a $500 driveway damage deposit. And then they just added, I think it was for the lawns, it was 2,500. So that's paid when they come and pick up their permits.
We do have an amount.
So
2,500.
they put 2,500, but it's not covered in the actual ordinance.
So I had a conversation with the building inspectors, and based on the conversations that we had set it at 2,500, so that's where the 2,500 came up with. So,
So it just needs to be put in the ordinance, is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
and they're paying it right now.
Okay, well, what's a recommendation on that? Why
Uh,
don't you just recommend 2,500 and we can get on with it? Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Can we put that in, take that 2,500, so it's not specified in the ordinance, and see fee schedule? And we can change the fee schedule without changing the ordinance.
make it per the fee schedule.
Mhm.
So how would the fee schedule get changed then in the future?
We would just
Change it.
decide at the board meeting,
Okay,
and then it doesn't have to go through public hearing.
Yeah.
no, that's fine. I
It's
just
a lot of
asking how it.
rigmarole to change ordinances.
If
It's
it,
expensive.
if it has to go up and because we're not getting the coverage, are you able to still charge and bill?
No.
If there's a fee schedule?
It would be escrow then the same way. So if we're not making it, then I would suggest.
Then you change it,
Yes.
okay. So you're kind of seeing what's coming in, what's going out, and if it needs to be changed, we cover it at a board meeting. So-
I think that's-
Do you want that laid out in this ordinance?
I just think it needs to say fee schedule for escrow law.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay. You want to make the motion or you want me to?
Go ahead, sir.
I'll make a motion to amend the proposed 13-123I4B of village ordinances with the change of at least one tree shall be planted in the front yard. And shall not, and this requirement to plant new trees under this subsection shall not apply if at least 2 trees that can stay in, as far as I'm concerned. 1 tree is all we're looking at it. And then also, under the fee schedule, you would put C fee schedule in under 15-118, right? Under,
For landscape escrow, see fee schedule.
right,
Refer to fee schedule or escrow amount.
do you understand that motion?
I'll listen to the recording.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're including C fee schedule under the escrow amount and amending under 13-123I4B, instead of 2 trees, 1 tree shall be planted in the front yard and or side yard if abutting a street. So it could be either or.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just as
The
a
motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
yeah, I'm going to oppose the motion because I oppose half of it, but I agree with the fee schedule in that, so. just explaining my vote before it comes.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay.
Hey,
Motion carried. Streetlight quotes. Is this Neo Electrical Solutions? Neo Electric here?
Correct.
What you got for it, Bob?
I have one question for you. It said it was only good for, this quote's only good for 7 days. Is that this one? Oh, no, sorry. I was looking on the O'Neill. Sorry, wrong one. I was looking at O'Neill, not Neo. And so, yeah, on the street lights, like lighting and street lighting retrofit.
Yep.
Does it get all the streetlights the same? Is that what we're looking at here? There was a discussion you had sent out before about that the village or the state had some non-conforming lights. Are we looking at them to be used in some other spot or what are we looking at there? That's totally different.
Well, there is a lumen requirement that isn't, these will be compliant with. There's a couple different, there's like 3 lumen standards from the DOT, depending
Okay.
on your pole heights. They have to be a certain
Lumen,
lumen.
the higher up, the more lumen, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the ones that they had didn't comply, and is that where we were gonna look at something or did they have to make a change with the ones that they had that weren't complying?
No,
Okay,
everything's compliant right now. We only have a few that are LED. That's where we get a difference in the lighting. So as the high pressure sodium bulbs burn out, we just retrofit them with LED. That was the most cost effective way for us to do that because we don't budget a whole lot in street lighting. That being said, we don't have $12,000 or $14,000 to do all this work. We could do some of it,
But the goal is to get them all to match, right?
the light.
The light.
so when you say some of it, do you have a suggestion? You got a flagpole, a flag light, on the scoreboard, for $1,000. Now, that's, that is the flag that's over the school ballpark one, right?
Right, the
That's
scoreboard.
utilized solely by the school,
Correct.
okay? Is there any chance that they might be able to pick up some of that cost?
I think 1 and 2 are things that we can do in-house if they don't want to pick up the work. I don't think that would need to, I think we can test some solar stuff out. Village Park, we just simply took the flag down.
The
JV
the village flag at the veterans? Oh,
No.
the village, okay.
Village, I mean, it's down in the corner of the ball field. We just took it down, versus having it, because nobody could see it unless you're down in the park, okay? So I don't know how important it is to have a flag in that location.
Well, couldn't they bring it out? Say, couldn't they bring it out, fly it when they're playing and take it back when they're done?
Absolutely, and that's
Right.
what we said to the high school, so what do you?
Well, that's kind of where I
Take
was,
down.
that's kind of where I was at with the whole thing is that, I mean, they're out there playing, there's, we'll put it up when they're playing
So,
and,
but we knew that there was some rumblings going on that flags weren't being illuminated at night and.
I can understand that. That's why I suggested to take them down, then you don't have to worry about illuminating. Illuminating and lighting them up.
Sounds sick to me, Joe.
So if we retrofit the streetlights, in order to get away from a different hue of light, we would have to do them all. There's no other alternative, other than what we're doing now, that's going on as they go out.
Is this something we can lay away for future, maybe next year or something like that? Because I mean, this year, obviously, everything's mostly shut down. It would be nice to have it all.
Our budget's gonna be very tight this year.
Yeah,
So,
so we can't even lay away money for this next year.
Well, we could next year, but I'm saying, what was budgeted this year, what some of our expenses are.
so you're saying number 3 is gotta be budgeted for next year?
So when those,
Yeah,
when those bulbs go out, do the city guys replace the bulb or do we have?
we have a contractor coming. We've been basically been following the same engineer, a guy that was a little older than us in high school. We've been following him from engineering company, just because we can call Donnie at a snap and he will like treatment plant. Hey, we're out or something's wrong. He goes, he'll drop everything and come. And that's kind of his agreement with all of his employers is if the village of Somerset calls, I need to go and serve them. So that's always why they've been kind of, hey,
That's what Neil,
this is what, you know, before it was B and B Electric. And before that was Snyder, and before that was a different company. So that's really been the preference on Neo is this, you know, and
We got a guy.
they give us good price.
Got a guy.
They're doing more.
Good to have a guy.
They're doing more for quite a bit less than O'Neill. So O'Neill does not have in here, the bollards, they don't have the two, lights for the flags either, so.
And their quote says it's only good for 7 days.
They have the right to reject it.
I guess I read it somewhere, but
And so if it's the desire of the committee to go over budget,
well, the other question is, how soon would it take to get something like this done? We're talking $7,400 to take care of the 18 fixtures, the 7 9-cord comp shape lengths and the bollard poles. There's 11 there, 7 install 7 owner furnished lamps. So we got the lamps already.
no,
So we gotta buy the lamps.
correct.
So we don't even know what that's gonna cost.
Correct.
So this isn't, let's table this until we get a full cost.
Okay.
I'd like to know what that's gonna be all the way across the board.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna approve something until we know what it's gonna be for all the way across. And I'm not opposed to getting it done, or at least getting it in a budget, but I'd like to know what those owner, if we have 7 owner finished lamps and for that, the corncob shaped decorative short poles.
Right, we should have finance committee look at how this might be able to be budgeted.
Right.
I don't even really understand what the corncob shaped LED lamps.
It must be the shape of the LED.
Is this something that the,
Good question you could have with Neil and figure that all out and bring it back to us then.
is this something that funds for Somerset United would go to?
That's why I'm asking to get this all together. And then we can see what the finances.
Yeah, allow finances.
The champions might fundraise for it as well.
Sure.
Because it was part of the cap.
Right.
Perfect.
So
Yeah,
motion,
table it.
motion to table until we get total cost for that. I would also probably recommend that you said Larry Forest 1 and 2 can be handled in-house. So I would say we just table and look at the retrofitting cost for 3 for the purpose of that discussion then, right?
Brandon Crum
Is there-
second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to handle 1 and 2 in-house and table number 3 on the streetlight poles until we have final cost for supply and install. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, nay. Motion carried. Updates and improvements for parks and walks through. You know, see, we got a few things on here that have been getting completed, and last month we had talked that you guys were going to, do walkthroughs. I'm not putting you on the spot here.
I didn't do mine.
Everything's been busy and I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything come through, so I'm
No, no.
assuming when you guys get them done, you'll,
I did go up to the one by my house. It's looking pretty good, but it does need a new picnic table. But no, I said I would do the Whispering Pines one as well. And I would also do the disc golf course. And speaking of disc golf course, we're supposed to get a privy out there.
I talked to him, it's like, completely forgot I ran into him at the hardware store, say, hey, where's my Where's our porta potties?
Just a couple of things I want to note on this, on the responses that were coming through on this, and one of them was, we got to get with the champions to decide whether or not there's gonna be split rail, so we can figure out what our parks are gonna look like, if they're gonna have a different fencing. We'll have to figure that price out too, because that came in substantially, substantial cost as well. So either we keep the split rail, replace it with something else, or remove it altogether. Woodstock is going to get in, I'm assuming at some point in time. We didn't really say much about the dog fence park. Is that going to be pretty much with the champions to see if that's feasible or not?
That was in Veterans Park?
Yes.
I think there's a proposal for a dog park. As part of a commercial development
Where?
pending TID 5.
North of town. Over here. And is
By
that,
Growing
is that,
Wings. Growing Wings,
No,
is that by?
so he's gonna get back. From the council.
I haven't seen anything on that, that's why I'm asking.
It's fresh.
Okay, so it's new, okay.
Very good.
The two posts that Brian worked, the 4x4 posts, I'm putting you on the spot, they're not pulled,
I have,
they're out there.
I have, okay, I have not made it down there yet.
Well, it says done on them, so, but
Oh, did
they're, yeah, and so they're not done, they gotta be removed. I just went down there to check, because I seen them this weekend, that's why I said, oh, well, you know. But I commend Neil for getting through some of this stuff, hopefully you can get to more of this with the summer help,
Yep.
you know, that's going to
that's-
get in here, especially the pressure
I
washing and
think
stuff
they
like
were
that.
up at Larry Forest all day today. At least the pressure washer was out and we had to buy a portable pressure washer. Good. We had one of those, the school was gonna do a substantial amount of the work and unbeknownst to us, but the day before, the middle school had their Seabuck picnic up there at 11, so we scratched that because there was gonna be wet paint and I said it's gonna be a disaster. So. Community day was shortened up a little bit. And the color on the,
Will the working agreement for the school maintenance of baseball field be brought to the board then after your meeting on Tuesday?
well, depends on what we accomplish.
Because you did have one at one time, right?
No, I did not found one. I thought we did. What we had was, we had the concession stand agreement, and that was what I thought we had with, but I have not found anything.
'Cause we're doing all the maintenance on that right now, right? On that ball field through the whole summer, but we can't use it.
Not one.
I mean, the public can't use it.
Well, they can now.
Okay,
There's a certain.
it's open?
High school still uses it, I think, on a 3 to 4 day a week basis for practices and user camps.
So we can't,
We
right?
don't schedule it. That field is fixed for high school baseball. The bases are not able to accommodate things. The pitching mound's not able to be moved. It's in a fixed location, so essentially it's tailored for high school baseball.
Unless guys want to go out there and just play catch.
Or you could have an adult league that with sandpipers at one time were using it. So,
That being said, too, also, there was some stuff that you had said that still yet to do that did get taken care of, like some things got removed out. There was a sign board that was over at the concession stand that we talked about getting removed, that's gone.
Okay.
And then so, you know, I just think maybe we just continue to keep this on the deal until we get more of, or develop a task of when we're gonna get to that. But I think this kind of plays a little bit into our that new 4-year plan of the parks, right? You know, is there a time frame on something like that when we're going to have that put together to submit? is it end this fall or?
Corp plan you're referring to?
Yep. Because I think we were still looking to try to figure out whether or not we're going to be tearing up them trails and
Sometime in October.
so. Will we need to do some kind of special session on that, or is there gonna be other people that are gonna be involved with that?
There's public engagement on that.
We're looking at September, October? Okay. Great. Task management.
Management. So the GIS folks at MSA got back to me and they threw out, basically a ton of different options that we just need to tailor down to what we want. As far as a mobile app, and then what we want as far as task managements. Because they're generic, we just need to add in what's relevant, what's not relevant, you know, there's.
So is this something that you guys as department heads will get worked out then for us to approve? Or is this something that we have to look at to approve or?
Ultimately, you'll be able to look at it and say, it looks good, or no, we want some.
Right.
Some additional things, or we don't need this.
Do we have a time frame on that? Or just coming to us for that?
Well, yeah, it's just starting the conversation that was so I mean, we can look at a few things now and decide what you would like included on that. So ultimately, task manager would be in-house. And then there would be a report generated for, let's say, dirty bathrooms. And there was a complaint that was filed, and it was every Tuesday. What's going on every Tuesday that the bathrooms are either they're being vandalized or damaged or something. And we can kind of narrow in on groups of individuals or the fact
Sure.
that staff needs to do.
Is there a cost associated to this? Because you got field scheme point layers, 800 to 1,000, right?
Mhm.
And the next one is the reported app and residential issue field map at 800 to 1,000. So are each of one of these, those deals, or is it just pick one of them?
Well, we would like all of them. We would like the, an app for the community to let us know that, hey, there's an issue.
Right?
It's easy for them to report it versus stumbling on our website, looking for a phone number, they go to their app and say, hey, there's a
Mhm.
Is this a one-time cost or recurring?
one time.
So we're looking at 24 to 3,000 to set up the app, right?
Yeah,
And then we're looking at a potential of 800 to 1,000 for residential issue field schema and point layers. Is that basically saying where they're at?
Mhm.
And then we're looking at 800 to 1,000 to create a resident issue reported app and residential status. So the app will cost, say, $3,000, and we're looking at getting a map put in, which would be another grand. I'm on the high side on each one of these two.
$5,000 to $6,000 complete. Depending on how many features we want. So,
We got the money for this?
it would be a split between departments because the police department would have a use for it, administration would have a use for it, our utilities have a use for it, parks have a use, streets have a use.
Budget we could split it up
So
and make
you
it
split
work.
it up, it doesn't cost each department very much money at all.
So this is doable.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, I'd have to compare it with
So
other.
then we just have to, so I'll make a motion to recommend that we establish this task map. Right? This app,
Task management, yep. So
this task,
the app is more for community based, so it'll allow push notifications to go out. So if somebody wants to know when the village board meeting is, they can select to be pushed out for village meetings.
or snow emergencies or construction updates or
Yeah.
what, any of that stuff.
Don't we have those sign up for updates now on the website?
We do,
So we wanna,
It's still a work in progress.
so like, just for instance, water quality issues for the condominium
Raymond Street.
development. It would have been so easy for me to push out a notification like, hey, we know about it, we're working on it. And it would have been really easy for them to notify us, hey, we're out of water, should we be out of water? Or notify them that they're going to be out of water.
Right, or the garbage cans are full down at the deal, needs to be changed, or, you know, a raccoon got into them or
So it just
whatever. right?
simplifies things, I think it just streamlines our response to, you know, we had a water break last night.
I'll make a motion, we move forward with this app.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to move forward with this task management app as presented to the committee.
Task management and the mobile app,
Well, you said 5,000 to 6,000,
they're
right?
two separate things. Task management and mobile app are two separate things.
Okay, you said 5,000 to 6,000. Which one was that on? On both, right? And you said that wasn't much money, so I'll say the task management and mobile app is my motion.
double
As presented.
second.
So motion made, seconded to move forward with the mobile app and task management. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All opposed, nay? Motion carried. And that'll be presented to the board for recommendation, right? And then once the board's approved it, then we'll hone down what we're gonna be looking at on the other day. What kind of ETA are you looking at for getting that done by?
I'd have to check with GIS, see how busy they are, kind of have to play by their time. There's two of them.
Pending approval of the board meeting, is there a chance we might be able to get an answer from them at the board meeting next week?
Yeah, I'll reach out to them this week. and see
Thank
what
you.
their-
Thank you.
their background.
Yeah, we can have something to you next Tuesday, an answer to that.
Perfect.
Thanks, Joe.
Welcome home sign. Looks like we got something here. There's a print of 48 by 24 white digital.
I just sent them the picture
Yep.
that Mike had sent.
Okay.
So that's,
And, okay, so they got $295 for the sign then, and then a pole, right? And then a mounting kit. So grand total of $420.
plus shipping and handling, which they don't have in there.
Okay, okay. So won't be more than $500 then for, well, I guess what we're looking at here is it, well, I don't think, yeah. But we'll say plus shipping to that. But I think, this is a lot cheaper than $60,000 to rip it out,
I just think it's gonna be huge.
huh?
I mean, that's 4 feet.
Where's this going?
in the median we were gonna tear out.
I think it's gonna be
Coming into town, where that one,
Tree,
the street light.
where the
yeah,
street
where the
light
tree
keeps getting
light
hit,
is, in that island there.
instead of hitting the light pole, it'll hit the sign.
They have the sign.
What do you think,
And then-
4 foot's too big?
I don't think it will fit.
4 foot's too big?
Well, that thing's only,
Well, and I sent
3
the
feet
picture and
wide.
they sent this according to the picture.
is it gonna be taken down once the new sign is put up? In the meadows?
No matter
What new sign?
Is there a sign going in the meadows?
not that I know.
You talking about the LED sign?
That's not, that's coming
That's
into
phased.
town.
That's
Two,
But we will at one point then have 2 welcome home signs or
That's
2
the-
welcome.
probably
signs?
in 5 years.
Well, unless you got $75,000 to write the check out, so we can get it done today.
I'll just wait.
Save $500.
I just tell everyone hi when they get here.
You know, 4 foot's a little big. If you guys think that's too big, we can always scale it back. But I guess something on that regards, you wanna forward that to the board for discussion?
Yeah,
We just forward it to the board for discussion then.
I move, we pass it to the board.
I'll second it. Motion. Motion made and seconded to forward this quote to the board with no recommendation, I'm assuming at this point in time because of size, right?
Measure. Recommend that they measure,
Measure twice, five
Okay.
once.
cut once.
Cut once, go ahead. So what's your motion?
Recommend that we move the welcome home sign to the board for discussion and possible measurement.
Recommendation based on size, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I'll second that. Motion made, seconded to discuss the welcome home sign with the board based on size and cost. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right.
All opposed, nay. Okay, motion carried. Hiring summer help. I think this is more point of information. Guy come on already?
Two,
Two of them, good. Working out so far?
working great.
Excellent. Are we gonna keep two through the summer?
That's the plan. We've got the work for them.
Okay. Because I know the guys had other things going on, that's why I was more concerned about getting them.
Well, it's gonna get even busier here.
Good, so are you looking to bring a third one on?
No.
Oh,
No.
So two for the summer.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, any other discussions? No concert parking signs in place by 6 AM day of the concert, that was brought forth, but I think that matter has been resolved, if I remember
believe so,
correctly.
with public safety.
Public safety is gonna be putting them up, and public works will not be dealing with that at all.
Correct.
So public safety is gonna handle that end of it, and we don't have to worry about it.
Perfect. Kick it to public safety.
Well, which is where it should have been to begin with, you know. New business? CAMAR report.
So annually, and I touched on this in my memo out to you guys too. The appliance maintenance is essentially a report card that is given out to the wastewater treatment plant for a variety of things, operations, finances, quality of the effluent, staffing, operator certifications. Jim was able to, again, straight A's on everything. And this is several years now that he's top scores on his.
Good job, guys.
operational.
Nice
All the way
work.
across the board.
Yep.
I think this would be a great thing to post out to the public, letting us know that we are, you know,
But yeah, put it on the public works Facebook.
yeah, could we?
Yep, so, yeah,
I think that's a great thing to send out to them, saying, this is what our public works guys are doing for us. Cool.
Thanks, Jim.
I'd give Jim a attaboy too, all the rest of the guys too, for that matter. You guys for collections, you guys for running it. Identity theft prevention review.
Just a yearly report that has to be looked at. Just showing that there's something in place.
Any concerns?
Seems like that Barracuda works pretty good to keep any of that spam out, even the stuff you want to.
Yeah, especially the stuff we want.
Yeah.
No more point of information or anything, or is there anything we need to adopt here? or-
No, it's just, I mean, I have the updated date on the front page. Just saying that it's reviewed and
Okay,
annually.
anybody have any questions on it? Looks pretty self-explanatory and. Nothing,
No
okay.
question.
Growing Weeds bid award. Chuck?
Yes, so bids were bids were let May 25th, and in addition to the base bid for those sewer and water extensions, there was, what was it, 7 alternates, okay? And 6 of the 7 had to deal with the water main material, using PVC C900 pipe versus ductile iron pipe, okay? And so the 7th alternate was this triplex lift station. And, the DNR, they could take up to 90 days to review stuff. And we were worried that they would come back, we'd get pushback on that duplex station. And that they would say, you have to put in a triplex station. So we wanted to just get a price just in case. They didn't do that. They're fine with the duplex. And so we're not recommending that $17,000 to do that alternate, but we are recommending that you do the alternates that change the pipe material from ductile iron to PVC. And
Why?
because there's about a $17,000 savings as a result.
So it's much cheaper.
Yeah,
And the longevity is the same or better,
Yeah.
right, with PVC over iron, correct?
yep.
I just want, for the record, for anybody watching or anything like that, we're recommending to do this, well, why, right? So at least we have the discussion, because we're saving money and it does the same. It performs the same, so.
And it keeps the ductile iron folks and the PVC folks honest, because, they're, a little bit of competition there. So with that being said, we're looking for your recommendation to award the project to Miller Excavating for $248,479.63, and make sure that recommendation includes the alternates to replace the DIP with the PVC water main. And it's to Miller Excavating.
Just one question, was that bid put out for everybody to do, or is this just kind of given to Miller to see what their price would be using PVC?
Nope, it was with projects of this size, you do have to, you're required to do a public letting. And we did that. We received three bids,
And Miller is a low one.
and Miller was the low. Yep.
I didn't see the other 3 bids, that's why I was asking.
Uh,
I didn't know if it was let out
I can share it
with the PVC.
we can, Bob can share it, or we can provide it for the,
How much was the difference in the ones?
Good chunk.
what was the question?
I have to look. We have to look into it.
I'm just curious what the difference in the bids was. You got one at 248, 479, I'm curious.
Give me 30 seconds here and I'll provide that information to you. Oh, for crying out loud.
You can go on to MSA's website and you can view the bid results. Or post it. Member was 271, A1 excavating was 296.
So yeah, they were significantly higher. Thanks for finding that quicker than I could, Bob.
What's the pleasure?
I would say Brinkstone make a motion to recommend this for approval for the board for Miller Excavating in the total of $248,469.63.
Second,
What's that?
With the alternates.
With the alternates.
Yeah, that's total on it, yeah. Motion made, seconded to recommend the Miller Excavating. Any discussion? You have the amount. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Construction update to public on bridge construction. I think we covered that already. Sounds like you're gonna be getting us some updates on that and going forward. One of the things that was brought up was with the, and I know it's probably not part of this agenda thing, but there's been some shut-offs of water lines and startup of water lines, you know, with switching over to temps and back and forth. And guys have had to purge out their lines. Is that gonna have to happen with the bridge? With this shut off here, or what, you know, will it be continuous the whole time?
No, it won't.
Yeah, no, that was.
The bridge shut down will be a valve on this side, a valve on this side, and it's not gonna, there's no.
No water shutdowns at all, no temps, because there was some discussion. And it probably will come up later on, but the guys had purged their water up in that condos. Several individuals running water out on the, you know, to get it out. Me too, when I got home to, you know, I had to run the water out to purge my lines because.
That's what happens in recons.
Pardon?
That's what happens in recons and.
Right.
Love for it not to happen, but it does.
But they get charged for it though, right? On their water meter.
Only if water's moving through it.
Well, they have to run water
Oh,
to purge it out. And they, you know,
to clean the line.
We can take a look if somebody has a question about it.
well, I just wondered if anybody up in the area.
If they'd like to contact me, that'd be fine. We can discuss it with them.
Well, yeah, I was just looking at it, if everybody up in there would be eligible for a credit on something like that. If their water was shut off and they had to purge their.
What we can do is we can look at, if we get a call, we can look at their usage and see what we have.
Yeah, just rough numbers, what do you charge per 1,000 gallons? Because you're probably flushing what, 10 gallons? 20, 50 gallons?
Well, yeah, a little more than that, maybe 50
So if you look at, you know, if you charge whatever,
times, yeah.
I mean, let's say it's $10, it's less than $10, but if it's $10 for 1,000, you know, 50 gallons of that, you know, you're looking at, you know, less than $1.
Okay, that's good to know,
It's $5.04 per thousand.
that's good to know,
So
it's good to know.
So you're right, so there is a cost, but it's fairly minor.
Next item on the agenda is removing weeds and growth on curbs before paint. I put this on there because we're gonna be painting the curbs. I think it was said 2 weeks. When are we painting the curbs?
With the construction project that Tri-City is going to be doing.
Okay, all right.
So that's.
But I thought all of that's getting done at that time. Right?
Presumably, he's gonna give us a price on that. So,
Well, he's gotta tear a lot of curbs out too, so I guess when he tears those out, the weeds should go with it.
that's what-
Well, some of them, and some of them, the weeds are growing up now. I was just wondering, is there, do we put any weed killer down on any of that kind of stuff to prevent that from coming up, or?
I don't know what we're talking about, to be honest with you. I don't know what weeds are we talking about?
Weeds in general, or?
Weeds in general, growing up through the cracks and stuff like that, all the way down Main Street, if you look down and you can see weeds coming up. And the question is, if we're gonna be painting them, the curbs,
They were sprayed last week.
they were, and so they'll be
Thursday.
gone then, right?
Should be.
That's their tough weeds.
So the weed growth won't, if there's any weed growth or anything like that coming up, then that it'll be gone before the paint gets put on. Right?
They know not to paint over weeds.
They've done it before.
Oh,
That's why I'm asking the question.
let's make sure we tell them not to paint over weeds.
Okay,
We gotta go.
we'll make sure that gets taken, that it gets carried on down the.
When was that done before?
Huh?
When was that done before?
Oh, last time they painted in here was 2016 when they come through, when they redid all the painting. I think, not exactly sure, but.
It's first time heard of it, so.
Public Works reports.
Done. What I was thinking of, when you go up Klucher, all the weeds are actually like, so the curb's here, but the grass is overgrown and we painted all over that. So
Boulevard areas?
the curbs are where they paint the curbs.
If you could shoot a couple photos and we'll get them over to Bob and he can get them to his Public Works guys, because he said it's not an
So
issue.
where boulevards are, where there be grass overhang?
Yeah,
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
yeah. So,
I
But-
thought you meant on Main Street.
Yeah, I just put it out because some people had asked about it, if they're gonna be painting curbs and stuff like that, so.
Yep, the amount of destruction that they're gonna do on the curb, it wouldn't be sensible to do curbing and rip it out a month later.
Right, no, that way, yeah, but I think we were talking about, there was other areas that get painted besides that, right? And that's scheduled in a couple weeks, I thought I seen an email on it.
The guys crosswalks are all done.
Crosswalks are done,
That was included with. Sure scares a lot.
okay. Any questions about the Public Works Department report?
In order. Or else we discussed most of it here.
Budgets? Bills?
I had one question on bills or budgets. If we reduce the overall amount of refuse that's taken by Olson, would that reduce our bill?
So
Let me tell you where I'm headed already. So my question is, so if we started like a composting program or something like that, where we would take the food waste and compost it, obviously that's not, you gotta sort it, all that. I know the challenges that come with it, but if we were to reduce our overall tonnage of garbage, would there be a cost savings there? Or is it just based on whatever size container?
So the way Olson works is Olson sends us a bill, we send the bill to the customer. So it's a public finance in and out type of way of doing, we need to show it on our budget,
Yeah,
but really,
he always just goes by
it just goes, it's a back and forth.
and he just always goes by the container. He just bills by the container.
So he gets us our bill, we bill the customer, so it's really a wash.
Okay, so there would be no cost savings in starting to composting or, okay,
It's
got it,
like Anderson, it's in and out.
got it.
You pay us, we pay them. And
No other discussion? Is there, have you had a chance to review the bills?
Everything else looked good.
Good to me.
Entertain a motion to approve the bills.
I move to approve the bills.
Second,
Frank Crowe, second.
motion made. Second, to approve the bills as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Future agenda items. Anything?
Nothing at this time.
Nothing to add.
That being said, there'll be a motion to adjourn.
Frank Crowe, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, second to adjourn. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? We are adjourned at 6:50.
Oh, just in time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
See you next week.
Yep.